Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this entertaining email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he is 28 years old, and he's going to share his story of how recently both he and a friend of his found out that both their girlfriends were cheating on them. Not a good situation, of course, but this does have a happy ending. And make things even worse, his friend's girlfriend wanted to have an open relationship before the whole cheating thing came out. But ultimately, both these guys kicked these girls to the curb, and believe me, the girls aren't happy about it. And how did that happen? Because these guys found out about my channel. One day, they were playing a round of golf with this guy who's telling the story, twin older brothers. The situation got out about this guy's girl wanting an open relationship. The brothers were cracking up about it, making jokes, got a little rough for a moment, and the guy whipped out his phone and showed him one of my videos, which led them down the path of figuring out exactly what was going on, which it was, and led to them getting proof and kicking those girls to the curb. So once again, thanks to the channel and RP content that's out there, it helps some guys get out of a bad situation and become all the wiser. So I'm going to go through this guy's story. It's definitely entertaining, and I think you guys really will enjoy it. And once again, proving that once a girl wants an open relationship, it's over. And I might add, she has no doubt either found a guy to hook up with, or she's already doing it behind the scenes. Guaranteed. So it starts off, he says, Hey SSM, I recently been turned on to your channel by one of my older brothers. And while the information you share only confirms the lessons my brothers have been teaching me most of my life, it was refreshing to see they weren't full of crap. This is in part my own story, but it's mostly the story of one of my friends that I was introduced to through my girlfriend's best friend. It was really eye-opening to see just how devious women can be, and I'll never make the mistake of underestimating just how far they will go to get their own way. If you've been watching this channel, or channels like mine, and hearing stories like these, you certainly are aware of just how far they will go, to get their way, and to cover their tracks. And you could have all the proof in front of them. They'll still deny it. And when that doesn't work, the water works. The whole nine, you always get the same things. For a little background, I have two older brothers. They're twins, and without embellishment, my best friends. Being just over a year older than me, they always let me tag along with them and their friends, and got me into more trouble than I would ever been able to on my own. But as much trouble as we got into with our parents, they always took the blame to shelter me from a lot of punishments. From their own mouths, they could torment me, but nobody else would, and they were good to their word our entire childhood. When we were in high school, nobody really bothered me because everybody knew that my brothers were crazy. There's never been a time in my life that I didn't know that they had my back, and even if I disagree with them, I trust them implicitly. Bro, that's awesome. That must have been a crazy house with all the boys. Your mom and dad must have had a handful, but that's great. That even though they're rascals and can drive you nuts, they got your back. And that's awesome. Right now, I'm 28 and my brothers just turned 30. For the story, we can call them Brad and Doug. All three of us work with our dad doing construction and have since we were old enough to legally work. Good for you, as all guys should the second they become legally aged to work. Everybody should work. Everybody should get experience. Everybody should make money. Learn some damn responsibility. Good for you guys, and good for your dad having you do that. My brothers, excuse me guys, still getting over the cold. My brothers are a lot like my dad. His philosophy has always been work hard, party hard, and don't suffer fools. I'm a bit more reserved than my brothers, but only a little. You can't spend that much time with someone and not have their personalities rub off on you a bit. I guess my story takes place around the middle of May 2022. The friend I mentioned above was the boyfriend of my then girlfriend's best friend. We will call him Dan. Okay. This guy's girlfriend's, her best friend's boyfriend. We can call my girlfriend Ann and her best friend Janya. My girlfriend and I have been dating for a little more than 2 years, and it was good, but nothing overly serious. These guys always start the story. It was good. It was great. And then they find out it was not so good or great. Dan and Janya have been together for 4 years when all this happened, and I'm pretty sure he was getting close to proposing to her. I like Dan, even though on some things he's a bit wishy-washy. It was a few months ago, after Dan and I started dating, that I met Dan for the first time, and he was a lot of fun to hang out with. He didn't have very many friends at the time, so I started inviting him to come out with my brothers and me. Over time, we became pretty good friends, and my brothers liked him. That can be both good and bad at the same time. Having my brothers as friends comes with a cost. They're loyal and will be the first out of their seats to help you fight off a mob, but the downside is they are complete savages. No filters. They say what they think and don't mind kicking over the apple cart to do so. Brad told me once, it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you aren't. I agree. I agree too. And I've mentioned before, I've lost friends because of what I do here on YouTube. People I thought were my friends for years. But I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat, and it does come at a cost. But I've gained so much more. Where we live, winters are fairly mild, even though August is like walking on the face of the sun. You're probably in Florida or probably in the Southwest. Weather permitting, one of the things I do with my brothers a few times a month is hitting the golf course on the weekends. Over the previous year, Dan had started coming with us to complete our foursome, and we had a lot of fun golfing, drinking, and talking shit. It was in May of this year that we were out on a Sunday, and something seemed to be off with Dan. He was normally a pretty happy-go-lucky kind of guy with an easy smile, but on that day, he looked like someone had told him his dog had died. My brothers noticed as well, and when we asked what was wrong, he brushed it off. It was on the fifth tee that he told me what was really going on. Now listen to this, guys. Apparently, Janya had convinced him to try an open relationship about 2 months prior, and while he was against it, he went along with it because he didn't want to lose her. Smack! You never go along with it. It's over. She's either hooking up with somebody else, or she's got someone or multiple someones ready to go. No. No girl loves their guy is going to want to have other guys touching her and other girls touching him. It's over. But these guys stay with these girls because they're afraid to lose her. You already lost her. I was pretty shocked because Ann had never mentioned it to me, and I knew that she and Johnny talked about everything. I asked him if he agreed to it and why he was so down in the dumps. Honestly, if two people want to live like that, it's none of my business. I wouldn't do it, but to each their own. Well, he didn't want to live like that. She did that, and he was too afraid to lose her. He started talking about one of the guys Johnny was sleeping with and how she seemed to be giving him all her attention, and he suspected that there was more than one guy, but she wouldn't tell him. Guaranteed. I asked him how many dates he'd been on since then, and he said none. I asked him why not, and he said he didn't want to sleep with anyone else. And she knew this. Guaranteed. It's no loss for her because she knows, A, that this guy probably wouldn't do it, or B, it's a lot harder for a guy, even a good-looking guy, to get girls as easily as a gal, especially if they're in their prime. It was probably not a good idea for him to tell me any of this while we were golfing because my brothers overheard everything that he said and started laughing. That made Dan angry. But it was when Doug asked for Jonya's phone number that he lost it and he started cussing at my brother. That only made both of my brothers laugh harder. Brad said, "Hey, I thought we were friends. If you're going to let some stranger rail your girl, the least you can do is give us a go." I'd love to bust that ass. You weren't kidding about your brothers. They're funny, but you can see how some people want to punch him in the face on occasion. The entire time my brothers were smiling and laughing, but what Brad said sent Dan off the deep edge, and he lunged at him. It took everything I had to keep him back, but that didn't stop him from calling him every vile name he could think of, and that only made my brothers laugh harder. Now, you're going to see in a second, guys, why the brother or brothers were laughing and making jokes that they were. You'll see in a second. We were starting to cause a scene, and the party behind us on the course were getting close. That was when Doug told him, "Look, Dan, calm down. We're only messing with you. Let's go to the clubhouse and talk about this." There was more cussing and laughing, but my brothers convinced him they were only messing with him, and we all gave up golfing for the day and went to the clubhouse to have a few beers. Good. That can make things either worse or better. A few drinks to calm things down, or a few drinks to elevate emotions, and next thing you know, you have a full-on brawl. By the time we made it to the clubhouse, Dan had mostly calmed down, but was still stewing. We grabbed a table in one of the corners, ordered some beer, and at first, Dan was just glaring at my brothers, who were both smiling at him. Having been tormented by those pricks most of my life, I could understand how angry Dan was. But knowing them as well as I do, I could feel a lesson coming on. It was after we got our drinks that Brad asked Dan about all the details, and he reluctantly told him. Johnny had come home from work a few months prior, and she said she wanted to talk to him. She said that she loved him with all her heart and wanted to spend her life with him, but they were both too young to stop having new experiences. Does this sound familiar to you guys? When he asked her what she was talking about, she brought up opening their relationship. She said she didn't want to lose him, but that she didn't want to move too fast, or they may wake up one day resenting the things they never had a chance to do. What a load of bullshit. But this is the same speech. It's like these girls look these things up online for these ways to break this conversation to their guys, and it's always the same. It's amazing. Then he said she proposed opening their relationship for 1 year, and at the end of that year, they could close it and look at the future together. Dan said he didn't like the idea, but he was in love with her. Smack. And he didn't want to lose her. Smack. Newsflash, you already lost her, dude. And that sucks. His heart is being ripped out, and he thought she was someone that she obviously wasn't. No girl loves their guy is going to want other dudes touching them. And no girl loves their guy is going to want other girls touching their guy. She doesn't give a shit about him. But welcome to Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. Welcome to 2022. And this is why more guys aren't doing relationships. Because the gals out there are trash. Does this mean every gal is going to be like this? No. But more and more are. I get stories like this every day. Then he admitted that he had already talked to her parents a few weeks prior about asking for their blessing to marry her. Smack. This girl is not marriage material. He already had a ring and was just waiting for the right time to ask her. Smack. Take that goddamn ring back as fast as you can. Maybe get some money back for it. And run. I can still remember my brothers looking at each other and then at Dan before they both started laughing again. Dan almost got up and left, but my brothers apologized and asked him to sit down. He did, but I could tell he was still furious and probably a little embarrassed. It is embarrassing. Doug told him, "I'm sorry, bro. She was already cheating on you before that day." I agree. At first, Dan tried to deny it. Of course he did. But Brad told him, "Look, man, it wasn't a coincidence that a few weeks after you talked to her parents, she magically came up with the idea. Let me guess. The guy you know about is someone she works with, isn't it?" He reluctantly admitted that it was. This is how I found your channel, SSM. Doug pulled out his phone and started playing a video about a married guy whose wife asked to open their marriage, and he made a date right in front of her. By the time the video was finished, Dan was doing his best to hold back his tears, but wasn't very successful. We spent the next 2 hours drinking while my brothers told him to start looking for evidence, and ended by telling him that she wasn't in love with him and didn't respect him. Exactly. And by the way, shout out to the bros that watch my channel and pass this knowledge on to Dan and this dude writing into me. You're doing a service. The bros are 100% right. They also said that she probably knew about his intentions of proposing because the timing was uncanny. More than likely, her mom told her. By the time we left, Dan looked more angry than sad, and I felt bad for him. But I wanted to know why Anna never mentioned that her best friend was in an open relationship. I wonder why. Maybe because Anna, this dude's girlfriend, was up to no good as well. What do you think, guys? Up to no good? It was that evening when Anne came over to have dinner with me and watch a movie. She asked if I had a good day with my brothers, and I told her it was interesting. She asked what happened, and I asked her if she knew that Dan and Jonya were in an open relationship, and at first she seemed shocked, before admitting that she knew. I asked her why she never told me, and she said that was something personal between the two of them, and she didn't think it was her place to say anything. Bullshit. Bullshit. Women cannot keep secrets, and if what we're about to find out wasn't going on, she would have told him, because there's no way. I mean, how many of you guys have girlfriends where, like, they're sworn to secrecy by their friends, but they gotta tell somebody, so they tell you. They're like, don't tell anybody, because they gotta get it out, and they gotta gossip, right? So if there wasn't something else going on here, she would have told this guy, because the gossip would just be too good. So there's a reason she didn't mention this. Then she started asking what Dan was saying, and I told her the same thing. It was personal, not my place to say anything. I don't think she liked the answer, but whatever. From her reaction and question, I guess she knew a lot more than what she said. The rest of the evening was normal, and the topic never came up again. It wasn't normal. There's more shit going on behind the scenes, bro. It was about a week later when I get a call from Dan, and he was pissed. He said that after golfing, he confronted Jonya about if she was already sleeping with the other guy before they opened up the relationship. And she adamantly denied it and said he was acting crazy. Shocker. He decided to let it go and see if he could find a way to see if she was lying to him. It was the following Thursday, when she was in the shower, that he went through her phone and found out that she'd been talking, sexting, and planning meetups with a guy for almost 6 months before she brought up the idea of the open relationship. And there you go. The brothers, although they made him crazy, were 100% dead on. Yep. This poor bastard. I mean, he can make jokes and he gets some smacks, but this is a good guy. He didn't deserve this shit. At least he's finding this stuff out now, right? I told him how sorry I was and asked him what he was going to do. He said he was going to break up with her and kick her out, but he wanted to talk to me first because he had some bad news. Then he sent me some screenshots of text between Jonya and Ann that he found in her phone. Uh-oh. What else could be going on here? I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that Ann knew all along that her best friend was cheating on Dan and had also been cheating on me. Again, not really surprised. From the conversation, it was Ann's idea about an open relationship. It was this dude's girlfriend about this. But she was afraid that I would drop her like a hot rock. She was right. It was Jonya's suggestion that she float the idea with Dan because he loves her and he would never leave her. Did you hear that? Again, he loves her but would never leave her. She knew. She knew. Bring up the open relationship, but this guy would be so afraid to lose me, he'd go along with it. They know what they're doing, guys. I guess she knew him better than he knew himself. If the relationship worked out, and if Dan seemed to be okay with it after 5 or 6 months, Ann was going to float the idea with me and use her success story to help sell it to me. Dan asked me what I was going to do, and I told him it was already done. Ann just didn't know it yet. I told him to go ahead and nuke her world and reminded him of the tea time the following Sunday. I liked Ann, but like I said before, it wasn't anything serious. I've been burned too many times to take women serious these days. Very smart. I didn't see Ann until the following Saturday afternoon. We had plans to go shopping, but when she got there, she was angry. I asked her what was wrong, and she said Dan broke up with Jonya and kicked her out. Good for Dan. Dan is redeeming himself. Dan, if you're watching, good job, brother. I told her I knew, and she started yelling that she knew it was my fault, that I must have said something to her to ruin their relationship. It's this dude's fault? How about it's her fault for not only wanting to do a relationship, but cheating on this good man all this time? But oh no, it's the guy's fault for ruining it. Women in accountability. Taking a leaf out of my brother's book, I just started laughing. And that only pissed her off more. There's 2 ways to make women insane, guys. Not that they already aren't insane already. 1, when they're acting like a-holes, laugh at them. Or B, ignore them. Don't say anything. Makes him nuts. And you'll see he does the other part pretty soon. She said that it wasn't funny because they were going to get married and I ruined it. He ruined it. How about she ruined it? I told her, no, your cheating friend ruined it and you knew she was cheating on him. She tried to deny knowing anything until I pulled out my phone and started reading the conversation that she had with Janya and their plan to get me to go along with the open relationship, along with the parts of her admitting cheating on me. That must have been fun to watch. I figured she would just accepted that she was caught and leave. But no, she started crying, shocker, and saying that I didn't understand and that I didn't have the entire conversation. What a load of shit. I cut her off and told her to leave and lose my phone number. Of course, all of her crying turned into cussing, but whatever. Both she and Johnny tried to assassinate our characters on social media with our mutual friends, but as soon as I posted their conversation, everyone knew what she did. It never ceases to amaze me. The same lines about the open marriage and the same lines the gals do when they get caught. First they deny it, then they cry their eyes out, and then when they can't get their way and the guy breaks up with them, then they trash him on social media. And it's always cool when a guy has like evidence that he can upload to and say, okay, here's what you did. Here's what she did. I mean, grow up. Got to post everything on social media. In a way, the silver lining here is Dan could have married this crazy broad. At least this happened before, they got married. So that was a few months ago, and Dan has become a regular with my brothers and me, and we're all having a great time. Anne has tried to talk to me a few more times, but I don't bother responding. Good. You're making her crazy by not responding. That makes them nuts. If you engage her, well, then she can have some drama. I'm not sure if these modern gals are broken or simply delusional. Both. But in either case, I don't think I'll bother with any serious relationships in the future. My life is good and it's only getting better. My brother Doug asked me a question about a month ago and I didn't have an answer. I think that's the answer. He asked, take away sex, name something that a woman today brings to your life to make it better. I think everybody here can answer that question. I love women, but I honestly couldn't think of a single thing they brought to my life other than chaos. I hope the next generation of men have better options, because I think my generation is broken. Good luck, everyone. Bro, that is a great story. That was definitely fun to read when I first read it, at my desk earlier today, and also right here. Both you guys owe your older brothers some beer. A free round of golf, some beers, and I know they're watching. I know they'll hold this to you guys because they help both of you out. And like you said in the beginning, they can make you crazy and all that, but they got your back, and they helped you and Dan out. And as for you and Dan, you, the dude that wrote in, I could tell you weren't that heartbroken over this girl, so good for you. You've learned. But to Dan, if he's watching, I'm sorry it happened, bro. You learned, it sucks, but guess what? You dodged a bullet. You could have married that broad. But you're, I'm guessing, 30, 28, I don't know what, something around there. Got your whole life ahead of you. But you learned a major lesson about the gals nowadays. So watch my channel, watch other channels, learn, become more educated, work on yourself, work on your career, hang out with your bros. And again, buy these twin brothers definitely many rounds of beer because they deserve it. They helped save your ass. And don't give these gals the time of day ever again. I know you, the dude that wrote in, you're not talking to her, but block her on everything and don't give them the time of freaking day. Because she'll come back, and that guy's ex, she'll come back too. No, don't waste your time. You're done with relationships. I don't blame you. And all the guys that watch this channel don't blame you. Focus on yourself and you'll be fine. And to Dan, same thing. Take it day by day because you've been with that girl for a long time. It will get better and all that. And just, sky's the limit what you can achieve. You guys are young. You have your whole lives ahead of you. And the more you watch this type of material, the more you educate yourself, the more you focus on you and self-improvement and making yourself happy, you're going to be fine. And like the brother said, what aside from sex do they bring to your life? Nothing. Really. If there's many things you can learn from this channel and all the stories I cover, it's that. Guys are fun on their own. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Also, guys, you come across a good story you'd like to share, or you got your own personal stories, by all means, email to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it. I will down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.